What's up, guys? It is patch day 1.0.3 drops for Rivals of Aether 2. I am very excited to get this video out and talk about it. I summarized the entire patch notes for the most important parts. There are things I leave out. I do that on purpose because they're not really that prevalent in my opinion, but I want everyone to go into the description of this video. I linked the full patch notes so everyone can go read them themselves. I want you all to go read them because it is very, very important to be well educated before talking. A lot of people talk before being educated, and it's very aggravating. I want everyone to go do their own research because I did mine. And yeah, I'm just gonna get into it. The general changes I want to talk about, off rip, are air dodging to ledge will now remove all ledge intangibility. This means air dodging onto ledge is not as safe as it was pre-patch. Air dodging onto ledge was basically, a really safe option off of a wall jump or, whatever it is to get that invincibility. There is, it was too simple. So basically they took that out and there's more risk to doing it now. Shields, they got hit really hard this patch. They got nerfed. Shield recharge time went from 20 seconds to now 25. That really encourages people to actually savor their shield and stop just letting it break, or stop letting people beat up on it. The next mechanic they introduced is basically a lifesteal. Hitting the opponent or their shield will now restore shield health equal to half the damage dealt. So if you are playing aggressive, you are going to be rewarded for hitting people on them or on their shield by shield health being brought back to you. This stops people and discourages them from turtling. This is a great change in my opinion. It forces them to play neutral so they can have an easier time playing defense. Shield pushback formula got adjusted, so there's more pushback from high damage attacks. This is probably relating to strong attacks and special attacks. When you do them on a shield, you are pushed back further. Low damage attacks are basically unchanged. Some cases there are some low damage attacks that aren't strong or special that do a lot of damage. Those, of course, are still incorporated into the formula, but high damage strong attacks are basically going to be looked at the most. They're going to push you farther away from the shield, meaning it is less risky overall. Statistically, should be less risky to throw a strong attack on a shield. Also decreases the amount of out of shield options. That's perfect in my opinion. Next thing that is very important, I think is the most important, is successful techs will now reset the tech lockout timer. This allows you to tech multiple times in a row. When someone hits you with an attack, and if they hit you across the stage but you land on it and you tech, it is harder for them to follow it up and just basically get the KO on a confirm, because now you have the option to tech again, which can save you, which I think is brilliant. I was really sick and tired of basically resorting to the 50-50 method, whether you roll left or right, off the pop-up off the tech. Now, teching is it's useful. It is actually useful on stage. The last general change I'm going to talk about is getting flinched by a new attack while already in the flinch state will reduce the next flinch duration by 30%, which basically removes loops like Ranno forward air, Fleet down air, Orcane down air. It removes these loops from the game. This is a amazing change. This stops people from playing brain dead and encourages people to actually combo, because flinches now have a scale decrease when being stacked upon. This is amazing. I'm very glad this change is here. This stops so many characters from just cluster fucking you on certain parts of the stage that you can't really do anything about because the flinch is so bad and it's so heavy. Now it is decreased, and that is all for the general changes. Starting with character specific, I'm going to be talking about Zetterburn. In my opinion, he got nerfed. The up special stun is weaker. You cannot combo up special into up strong anymore. Perfect. That's another nerf too. 0 for 2. Jab 1 and 2 are now 4 damage to 3 damage. So instead of 4 to 8, they're 3 to 6. This is persistent throughout the whole patch, I'm pretty sure. A lot of people got their jab 1 and jab 2 decreased on damage. I'm sure it's just to decrease the rate in which we are getting each other at higher percents. Back air is just absolutely nerfed. Back air sweet spot knockback went from 5 plus 0.35 rate to 5 plus 0.4 rate. The low knockback on the back air basically made it a true combo into strong and up strong against a lot of characters at low kill percents. This change is basically making it to where the back air will now send them into knockdown earlier rather than sending them into combo potential for up strong. This is still a buff in a way, but also a nerf because you're losing the combo. I still think it's great. Back air sour spot now uses the weak visual effects and sound effects to differentiate from the sweet spot. There is now a differential between the sour spot and the sweet spot. That's kind of just a quality of life, but, you know, it makes sense. And next up is Ranno. Ranno actually got nerfed as well. You can't cancel off of slinging on the bubble anymore. There's no jumping out or attacking out a bubble. Off of slinging off of it, you can't do that to get a cancel. It doesn't work anymore. Dive kick has less friction, which basically means it's more punishable and more. You have to be way more precise to ledge cancel. So dive kicking on the mix-up is, you know, a little bit more iffy now. Down tilt got completely redone. The sour spot is actually worse than the sweet spot now. We all have witnessed the down tilt. You can just fling him out and get into a combo, or fling him out to add damage, or even to poke with them, and it would always work no matter where you were hitting them. But now it is changed, so it is disencouraging people to be throwing it out and aiming for sour spot, and to actually have to precisely use it to get the sweet spot. The recovery went up as well from 17 to 19. You know, the knockbacks were changed, they were decreased, and the hit stun was decreased as well. All the strongs on Ranno were actually nerfed. The forward strong and the up strong's knockback got tuned down because they were just killing way too early. The kill powers it was too big, too much on Ranno, so they took them down for good reason as well. And down strong sour spot now has priority over the sweet spot. So a lot of the sweet and sour spots on Ranno were really wonky, and they addressed it pretty heavily here. The most damaging part to Ranno was the back air was completely gutted. Back air sour spots have been moved upward, and they're shrunk slightly. The sweet spot damage went from 10 to 8. The late sweet spot damage went from 8 to 6. The early sweet spot damage and reverse hit damage dropped by 1. And the late sour spot damage and the reverse hit damage dropped by 1 as well. Basically, completely just shitting on the move and trying to discourage people from using it as much as they were. Which I agree with. I think the back air was crazy. And the landing lag went up. So there's a lot of discouraging there for players to stop using it and basically make Ranno more precise and more punishable as a whole, and I just completely agree with it. And after Ranno is Wrastor, and again, we're 0 for 3. Wrastor, in my opinion, got nerfed. You can no longer activate Slipstream when hitting someone's shield, which is really weird because when I'm fighting a Wrastor, I always see Slipstream up, so this is definitely going to decrease the frequency of it going up because pre-patch, you could just, as long as you hit them with it, it goes up. Now they can actually block it and it won't go up, so, you know, that's obviously a nerf. Up special got reworked. I think this is more of a nerf than it is a buff because, I'll just explain. The knockback went from 9 plus 1.0 rate to 6.5 plus 1.2 rate. So the later the percentage on the opponent, the stronger it is, but lower percents, you are not getting cheeky kills anymore. You are not getting, you know, those, you know, free little quick ones. Like, you're not getting that anymore with this move. And I really thought the move was, I thought it was super niche, that it was hard enough to hit already, and it was really rewarding when you would hit it because of how hard it was. But now it's, you know, it's less rewarding earlier on, and I don't know if I really agree with that because I think that's a little crazy, but we'll obviously see how it plays out. You know, again, jab 1 and 2, damage went from 4 to 3. And a hitbox actually got changed. The dash attack back hitbox was completely removed. If you were to dash onto someone and they would be behind you after the dash, there is no hitbox trailing Wrastor anymore. So there's no more, how the fuck did he hit me? How did this happen? No, 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 no. That doesn't exist anymore because it isn't there. Obviously, hitboxes will be wonky, so I'm sure we're going to get a clip on Reddit soon or on the Discord of how the fuck did Wrastor just hit me here with the dash attack. It's going to happen, but at least it's less likely to happen now. My least favorite character, Kragg, he got nerfed, but he did get buffed to compensate the nerfs. Rock is pretty iffy now. Rock throw startup went from 6 to 8, so Rock is definitely slower to fling out. The neutral special Rock grab went from 5 to 8, so grabbing the rocks is slower again. It's still fast, obviously, but it is slower, so Rock is, you know, negative on the Rock. Up special and forward special cancel. Landing lag went from 22 to 28. The recovery was way too good pre-patch, and they're kind of toning it down a little bit, which I love to see. Fuck Kragg. Absolutely. The up special pillar summon, the recovery went from 25 to 30. Pillar is more punishable, which is great. I think Pillar was a little crazy, and I'm glad they're addressing it here. Pillar actually now restores Kragg's resources right when it spawns. I don't agree with this at all, But you know, we're gonna take them, take the negatives while we can, and unfortunately, there's a couple positives here. But I feel like that was worth mentioning. Hitting a player, this goes for all characters that are not Kragg, and I believe Kragg himself against the Kragg. Hitting players, or hitting the pillar, will now restore your wall jump. So, not only hitting it to get it out of the way from a ledge guard or whatever, to get to the wall, to get, you know, your recovery or whatnot, you now, if you hit it, you are gaining your wall jump back. So, the ledge guarding against other players as Kragg is definitely worse. I am very glad this is in. A lot of characters struggle against this shit, especially, you know, like Clairen and whatnot. So I'm glad this is addressed. A lot of the heavy characters you're going to see farther down the line, their weight actually got decreased. So it is going to be easier to kill these people. They are less heavy. It went from 110 to 108. Jab 1 and 2 went from 4 to 3, and the Jab 2 first hitbox was lowered slightly, which basically means that the knockdowns when you land it, the Jab 2, are way more consistent, which, of course, a buff. Unfortunately, you know what I mean? Unfortunately. Forward air actually got nerfed. The startup went up, the landing lag went up, the knockback damage went down, and the knockback just radius went down as well. The forward air size and speed were too much, way too much, and I'm glad they got it out. You know, they got it addressed. Back air, gutted too. Fuck all of the aerials, they got gutted. Back air now has an extra hurt box during the active frames, which basically makes it less clunky, but the recovery went up, the landing lag went up, the knockback angle went down, and it's just basically to encourage people to stop using this as the blackjack of all moves. You know, like, this shouldn't be the one army, the one thing that you only use on Kragg, because it was spammed a lot, and I think anyone can agree with that. So it's actually, it's toned down a little bit, which I love. Thank you. I really don't know how the community is gonna deal with this, but in my opinion, I think Fleet got nerfed. They even say in the patch notes before they even start talking about all the actual changes that Fleet was too powerful off stage and was very dominant in the air, and I just kind of was like, what are you even talking about? But I assume all the nerfs of the other characters are really going to make Fleet actually shine, because she did get nerfed, but she did get buffed in a way. So I think it's going to be, you know, a balance. All of the Tornado got changed. Tornado can no longer break projectiles. It's actually vulnerable 5 frames earlier. Its hurt box the radius went from 40 to 55, which makes it easier to hit. So a lot of, you know, here's this, but then here's that. Here's this, and then here's that. Slow fall is no longer restored when grabbing a ledge, which is fucking crazy. Now Fleet must touch the ground before being able to float again. So I guess it's removing the whole stalling thing that they're really worried about, which is, you know, okay, great, that's okay. Slow fall can no longer get a boost from tornadoes that don't belong to Fleet. So this just basically addresses the whole Ditto matchup that people are having a problem with, which is, you know, whatever. Jab 1 and 2 went from 4 to 3 like all the others. A lot of the air attacks got just fucked, like bad. Neutral air active went from 20 to 16. The recovery went from 16 to 20. And this is basically kind of just an evening of the both. It's basically the same thing, but it's just gonna stop edge guards from being way quicker than what they actually are. Like the nerf on the other air attacks, they attacked the back and the up air as well. They both got damage nerfs, which was really weird. So I don't know what their whole point of that is. I guess it's to stop people from killing with it, but I have no idea. Even the knockback radius on the up air for the sweet spot got changed, so I really don't know what the whole point of that is. They're basically trying to address the kill power, I'm assuming, but I don't really think Fleet was killing too early. I don't think that was the problem with Fleet. I think there was so many things wrong with Fleet before the kill power, but, you know, whatever. I'm not a dev. I don't know. And next up, the second most disappointing thing for the patch notes, Maypul did get nerfed, but it isn't enough. I think Maypul's extremely good, and they didn't really address everything, I don't think, but, you know, she at least got a nerf. Neutral special C damage went from 2 to 1. You know, like, okay, that's not crazy. And the Lily detection radius went from 100 to 90. So, again, like, not crazy. Yeah, it's more chance to DI there from the Lily, but what, like, I don't know. Like, is it really crazy? Like, I don't think that's insane. The biggest nerf she got was that her tail now has a hurt box. She can actually be hit in her tail. She was really hard to hit originally, and now her tail is a part of her as a character, so she has more area as a character to be hit. So we'll see how that works out. I don't think it's gonna be too crazy of a change. Again, Maypul, there's nothing too crazy, but it's worth mentioning because it will obviously be shown in, you know, statistic wise. And now for my most anticipated was Clairen. Clairen got buffed and nerfed, so I don't really know how I really feel about this as a main. I think it's okay. Like, at least we didn't get, like, Orcane treatment, which I'm gonna talk about soon. At least we didn't get Orcane treatment, and thank the fucking God we didn't get, you know, Ranno or Fleet treatment. The stuns for the tippers, you know, they went down. Everyone can, you know, clap and fucking cry and congratulate each other. You know, the nightmare's over. But the damage went up on the tippers, so it's more rewarding to land them, but the follow-up is not way more difficult, but it is more difficult, and I think that's what the whole aim of this nerf is for, or, you know, throughout the whole change for her as a whole. It's supposed to, you know, regress on the follow-up and reward you more for the spacing. Back air is basically changed to want you to use it not only for the tipper, but for using it to follow up and to just create space. Fort Strong tipper has a knockback change, which I thought was really weird because I didn't think that thing killed early enough. But it basically is just preventing people from dying at low percents, which, you know, is still going to happen. I think the throw to tipper is going to kill no matter what they do. So I don't really know how they're going to address that, and I don't think they're gonna, but because they didn't hear. So I don't know. Earlier percents it's harder to get kills with, but later percents it's legitimately the same thing. The math adds up. The hitboxes are adjusted to match the animation better, which is, you know, quality of life, of course. The run speed went from 18.4 to 20.1, so Clairen is quicker. She's very fast. Not very fast, but faster now, which is great. Up air got a buff, thank God. I don't think this is enough, but it's a step in the right direction. The damage went up by 2, which is great. And the last thing is the down throw knockback angle changed from 55 to 50, which basically means it's used to send them further horizontally than vertically, which is weird because I wasn't really using it for that. I mean, I think I'm using back throw a lot more, but, you know, whatever. I'll take buffs where I can get them. You know what I mean? I'll take them where I get them. Next up is Loxodont. He actually got buffed, which is great in my opinion. I think he needed it. I don't like him as a character because I think he's annoying, but, you know, whatever. He needed the buff for sure, and I'm sure, you know, everything else is going to weigh in on how truly good he actually is. Lava Pool is infinite now, which is fucking crazy. I don't agree with this, but, you know, whatever. Whatever. It's just, I don't know. Lava Pool is not 5 seconds. It is infinite. Weight is now 110 instead of 112, so it is easier to kill Loxodont now. Down throw got buffed to fuck. 39 to 21 is crazy. 39 to 21 is absolutely insane. It's crazy. Down throw is much less reactable now, which is, I'm sure all the Loxodont, you know, the 3 Loxodont players are jumping up and down for fucking joy. Jab 2 is now more consistent. He swings the axe at a higher arc, which makes it connect with Jab 1's sweet spot, which is great. I think that was an issue that a lot of people just overlooked, and I'm glad they caught it. There is one bug fix I want to mention that is a nerf that I think is, you know, a little iffy. I think it's a kind of a big nerf. Neutral Specials Molten Boulder will now lose trades like all other projectiles, meaning that he can lose a trade now on the boulder, and it's not just an overwhelm or you know, whatever. He now loses trades like all other projectiles, so it's giving him, you know, it's giving his projectile-like quantities. I am glad they're doing this stuff. They're holding every single thing accountable, and I think it's brilliant, and they need to keep doing it. And next up is Orcane. I've already seen the community feedback for this fucking thing. It's not looking too good. It is not looking too good. Orcane got hurt pretty bad. I'm just going to start off with, I'm pretty sure all of these are nerfs. I don't think there's a single buff. The weight went down from 104 to 100, so Orcane is killable quicker. Jab 1 and 2 decreased by 1 damage, so it's 4 to 3, just like everyone else. Jab 3's knockback went down, so the knockback on your final end on your jab is not as strong as it was. Forward air got gutted. Like, this is crazy. The recovery went from 16 to 22, can no longer break projectiles, hitbox shrunk, and the landing lag is 4 frames more. Like, holy shit. Who in the dev team hates Orcane? Because, wow. And if you think that's bad, it gets worse. It gets worse. Down special no longer stalls in the air. Down special's recovery window, it can edge cancel now, which is great. There's your one buff, but the puddle pop recovery went up 8 frames from 22 to 30. Like, what? The down special's bubbles max vertical speed went from 11.33 to 8.83. Now there is less vertical coverage for this attack, thank the fucking lord. And they changed the iteration of how the bubbles spawn. The first 2 bubbles spawned by the down special will now always appear at the outermost edges of the puddle. The next 2 will spawn halfway out, and the rest of the bubbles will all be random. So this is basically, it's an outer to inner to just random, which I think it's great. It can catch people, but it also allows people who are, you know, in the direct center of it to at least have a chance to DI out of it quicker. Just wow. And they still go on the specials. Forward special can no longer grab the ledge for the first 10 frames of the recovery window. Holy shit, dude. What is happening? Then the neutral specials recovery went from 16 to 22. It's crazy. They really hate Orcane. This is insane. And now finally, Mr. Forsburn. He is the last one. He got buffed and nerfed in my opinion. Overall, this entire patch was nerfs, so I'm glad Forsburn's walking out of here with the buff. He kind of needed one in my opinion. Forward strong dagger knockback went from 7 plus 0.9 to 7 plus 0.925. You know, just a barely kill power percentage buff. You're gonna kill just a tiny bit easier with it, you know, nothing crazy. Jab 1 and 2 got nerfed from 4 to 3 like everyone else. Jab 3 knockback, you know, it went down in initial from 8 to 7, but its radius went up by 0.05, so I don't know, you know, a buff and a nerf, you know what I mean. And the recovery, jab 3 recovery went from 16 to 22, which is just more risky. Throwing out the third jab is just way more risky. That's just overall nerf. Here's some buffs. Hitting an opponent will now reset his special up smoke cancel count, which is great. I think that helps him play more aggressively and allows you to actually be stoic with your smokes. And now clone can be detonated during the special fall window of up special, which is just kind of a quality of life, but also pretty useful. But yeah, other than that, I think Forsburn, that's just, you know, is a meh. A Forsburn is just a meh. I don't really know. And yeah, that's basically it. That's the patch notes. That's 1.0.3. I didn't cover everything, obviously, because it's way too much. I do encourage everyone to go in the description and obviously do your own research. I don't want to stop anyone from being educated themselves. I want everyone to have their own opinion, and this video is trying to basically get everyone educated onto a common enough level to actually have a discussion. I am glad everyone got nerfed. I think there's a lot of things that needed to be discussed, and they were definitely discussed in that dev team when doing these patch notes. I am sad Clairen did get nerfed, but I'm glad everyone else got the same treatment. Everyone else got a little, you know, a little spank on the ass, so whatever. You know, I'll take it while I can, you know what I mean? Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the support on recent videos, and I'm so very thankful for all the short support. I'm going to be doing more of those when I make videos like Mosh Pit. I think it's a really easy way to get engagement up. And yeah, I appreciate everyone for watching, and yeah, thank you guys. See you next time.